The movie started by showing the battle between special forces and a group of terrorists in a building. The special forces are led by a man called Captain, and has a team called Resurrection. But as it turned out, the battle was just a simulation of an online game played by a man named Kwon Yoo. He's a former national taekwondo champion who had been expelled from the national team for his involvement in a violent case. Yoo is now unemployed, and spends most of his time playing online games at internet cafes. While he was eating, Yoo got a call from his mother and asked him to hurry home so he could turn off the gas stove. Reasoning that he was busy, Yoo then turned off his phone and went back to playing the game. Not long after, a smartphone near him suddenly rang. Because the ringing was so annoying, Yoo then picked up the phone, and heard the voice of a woman asking Yoo for help to deliver the cell phone to her house, where the woman promised to give Yoo $800 if he delivered the cell phone to her. Without thinking, he rushed to the address given by the woman. When he got there, the door to the woman's apartment was unlocked, and the woman was taking a shower. The woman then asked Yoo to put her phone on the bed and take the money in return. Before leaving, he advised the woman to lock the door. The next day, Yoo, who had just woken up, was surprised by the arrival of the police, who barged into his residence and immediately arrested him. He is accused of murdering and raping a young girl. When taken to the police station for questioning, he denied the accusations by saying that he only came to return the girl's cell phone. But then, the police showed evidence that seemed irrefutable: the murder weapon found at his home, his fingerprints and DNA in the girl's apartment, and also the security camera in the apartment which shows footage of him being seen entering the girl's apartment. On the other hand, Yoo's mother, who believes that he is innocent, tries to defend him and seek public support. The woman also went to a well-known lawyer named Min Chon-sang to defend her son in court. At first, Chon was reluctant to help Yoo's mother because his case was getting public attention. However, the man felt sorry and decided to help him. At the trial, Chon was unable to help Yoo, because the evidence found there was very clear and irrefutable. Following pressure from the media, the court swiftly finds Yoo guilty and sentenced him to life imprisonment in a maximum security prison. Arriving at the prison, Yoo immediately catches the attention of a gang leader named Ma Duk-su, who then interrogates him for his crimes and insults him. When the guards came to stop the commotion, Duk-su acted as the victim by saying that Yoo was the one who had started the commotion, so Yoo also needed to receive punishment from the guards and was thrown into a narrow and dark solitary cell for 80 days. After getting out of solitary confinement, several inmates warn him to stay away from Duk-su and his minions as much as possible, as well as an old inmate named Hyun, who was arrested for a serial murder case. After languishing in prison for some time and experiencing violence and abuse, a depressed Yoo tries to end his life, even though his mother always visits him and assures him that she is fighting for his freedom. Meanwhile, outside the prison, Yoo's mother tirelessly fights for his justice and freedom, because she still believes that he is not a murderer. One day, Yoo's mother and Chon visit him in prison, where she tells him that someone called her and told her that the person had something to prove that he was not at the scene when the murder took place. Suddenly, Yoo became more excited and had hope again. He also gets used to life in prison, and avoids Duk-su and his minions as much as possible. Unexpectedly, Hyun suddenly approached him while he was eating, and told him that he was not a murderer as people claimed. Hyun is also impressed by his endurance, and the way he protects himself from Duk-su's attacks by protecting vital body parts, so that he can avoid death and paralysis. With the help of Hyun, he began to train physically and also improve his fighting skills to become stronger, and finally, managed to defeat Duk-su and his henchmen. One day, he gets a visit from Chon, but his mother is not there. The warden then handed over the death certificate of his mother, which stated that his mother died by suicide. He immediately became shocked and very frustrated because of his mother's death. The next day, Duk-su's henchmen deliberately make a fuss in the prison field, so that Duk-su can avenge Yoo for his defeat some time ago. Duk-su prepares to stab him with his knife, but he already anticipates the attack and attacks Duk-su first, injuring his face. In the midst of the commotion, the warden pointed a gun at him and ordered him to drop the knife. But then, he stabbed himself instead, so he had to be rushed to the hospital. It turns out that this was planned by him and Hyun so that he could escape from prison. Yoo then attacked the chief warden and the officers in the ambulance. He managed to escape despite being injured. The warden pointed a gun at him, but for some reason, the man just let him go. Yoo's escape from prison then became national news broadcast throughout the country. With the help of 2 foreign tourists, he managed to get past the police guard post, even getting a car to make it easier for him to escape. He then goes to Chon's office and asks him about the person who has proof of his alibi, which his mother had talked about before she died. Chon tells him that it was just a false report. That's what caused his mother to despair and decide to commit suicide. While giving the necklace left by his mother to him, Chon says that he will re-examine his case. Since Chon reports his whereabouts to the police, he rushes out of the office. He then goes to the internet cafe to check his email, and finds an email sent by his colleague in Resurrection, named Yo Wool, which contains CCTV footage that can prove his alibi on the night of the murder. In the email, Yo Wool also wanted to meet him somewhere. Arriving at the appointed place, he is very surprised to find out that Yo Wool is actually a woman. Yo Wool then takes him to her house in the suburbs. Yo Wool, who turns out to be a hacker, has investigated his case and found many irregularities in the evidence collected by the police. Not only that, Yo Wool has also gathered other Resurrection teammates, namely Chun, Dong, and a man who calls himself Demolition, to help Yoo clear his name. Yo Wool then told Yoo and the others that she had investigated several cases similar to Yoo's and found similar irregularities. The team examines recent high-profile violent crimes, and via security camera footage, they find a truck parking close to all crime scenes. Yoo and Demolition then went to the location of the truck, which Yo Wool managed to track down. There, they saw a suspicious black car. Yoo decides to follow the car, while Demolition stays there to keep an eye on the truck. Not long after, Yoo finally arrived at a villa, and assumed that there had been a murder there because blood was splattered everywhere. While he is hiding there and filming a group of people clearing the crime scene, Demolition notices that the black car has returned and takes out a casket. Demolition follows a truck, which leads to a luxury apartment building downtown, while telling Yoo and his team its location. The apartment building apparently has a fairly sophisticated security system, so Yo Wool sends Yo back and Yong to disguise themselves as technicians so that she can hack the security system and Yoo can infiltrate there. Yoo finally arrived at the apartment where the casket was unloaded, and upon opening it, it turns out to contain the body of No Jun Young, a rising actor who has most likely been the victim of a murder at the villa Yoo had visited earlier. Knowing that someone had come to the apartment, he then hid and saw the specialist team, tasked with fabricating a crime scene by following the order that was given to them by framing up a fan as the actor's killer. Unbeknownst to Yoo, the apartment is being watched by Chon, who is the mastermind behind the framing, and also saw him there. Jun Young's real killer is Chu Yi-ri, the daughter of a wealthy businessman known as Chairman Chu, who then hires Chon to look for a scapegoat for the crimes his daughter has committed. Using a massive intelligence supercomputer hidden in his apartment block, Chon finds appropriate candidates, just like Yoo, and makes them as scapegoats. After recording the action of the specialist team and taking fingerprint samples, Yoo and his team return to Yo Wool's house to continue their investigation. After checking the fingerprints found at the crime scene, Yo Wool managed to find the identity of the fingerprint owner, a woman named So Hyun Young. They immediately tracked the woman's whereabouts and tapped her cell phone. After hacking Young's cell phone, Yo Wool and Yoo listened to an incoming call that Young received, which turns out to be from the same woman who had called Yoo years ago to set him up. Yo Wool immediately traces the location where the call came from, and informs Yoo, who rushes there. However, Yoo apparently was not fast enough. Chon had anticipated this and immediately sent someone to take the woman away from there. Not giving up, Yoo then chased the two of them with his car even though he was being chased by the police. He is eventually surrounded by the police, but then a truck arrives and hits the police car. The truck driver is none other than Deok-su, who was released from prison because Chon had manipulated his criminal record. Deok-su then takes Yoo to his hiding place and tortures him. However, not long after, The SWAT team raided Deok-su's hideout because of Yo-Wool's report. Yoo manages to escape from the place and is rescued by Yo-Wool. Wondering how Deok-su found him, Yo-Wool finally finds the tracker inside his mother's necklace and realizes that Chon has been involved all along. After that, Yoo and his team fly a drone to intercept Chon's conversation and find out about the supercomputer hidden in his apartment block. Yo-Wool tries to hack it, but unfortunately she can't. They were forced to infiltrate there and copy all the data. On the other hand, Deok-su is successfully freed from the SWAT team and is again ordered to arrest Yoo. The resurrection team then sabotaged Chon's operation to plan Jun-young's murder and succeeded in uncovering Yi-ri's crimes, so the woman became a suspect in the murder case. After that, Yoo confronts Chon inside his apartment. After beating the man, he started transferring all the data on Chon's computer, including surveillance footage of his victims and call logs with his client using Yo-Wool's flash drive. Chon implies that Yoo's mother's suicide was actually a murder committed by himself. Chon then reveals that Deok-su is already at Yo-Wool's house and has caught his teammate. Not wanting to wait for the data transfer, which takes a long time, he rushes back to Yo-Wool's house to save his teammates. He arrives just in time before Deok-su kills his comrades. After freeing them all, he and his team rush out of the place and head to the TV station, while Chon reports them to the police. Yoo's team tries to avoid the pursuit of Deok-su and Chon's henchmen and also the police. On the way, Yoo's team finds out that Chon has manipulated the media into slandering his team as a psychotic crime ring and made Yoo a scapegoat for Jun-young's murder. Arriving at the TV station, Yoo and the others then split up to distract their pursuers, while Yo-Wool prepares her gear and accesses the data from Chon's computer. However, Deok-su then kidnaps her. Yoo rushes off to save Yo-Wool and manages to bring her back after taking her from the car driven by Deok-su, which then crashes into a large truck. Yoo drives Yo-Wool back to the TV station to finish her task, while he buys time by turning himself into the police. Eventually, Yoo and the others are caught by the police, except for Yo-Wool. When Chon celebrates his victory after Yoo's arrest, his supercomputer suddenly hangs and his command center shuts down, which is when Chon realizes that he forgot to remove Yo-Wool's flash drive that had copied all the data on his computer. With the evidence found in Chon's computer, Yo-Wool and the two previously absent team members, Yoon-pai and Eon-pai, put together a presentation. They block the station's regular broadcasts and begin to present the facts, detailing the involvement of Chon, his client, and how they framed their victim. Chon is eventually captured, though it is implied that there is a greater power behind him. Yoo and his team were later acquitted of all charges, and he was also acquitted of the murder charge that had been fabricated by Chon. After that, Chon is thrown into the same prison where Yoo used to stay, where the man is reunited with Deok-su, who now makes Chon the target of his bullying. The film ends by showing two foreign tourists returning from a trip and finding their car in perfect condition. After that, Yoo gathered with his resurrection team, chatting and eating happily. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.